This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Recording has started.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Harley, the Professor Ether. And with me, as always...
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't hear your intro. Your intro.
Okay. Hey, who is it?
Phil me and Perich.
That's the guy. Okay, Philip. Welcome to the show. Tonight, in honor of the big famous film coming out, or is out, with is it Joe Queen?
Is it Joaquin?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joker.
Little brother of River Phoenix, for those who remember River Phoenix. And movie out called The Joker.
Yeah.
Little indie art house romp.
Which we'll be covering completely spoiler-filled review on Capes and Lunatics episode 125.
Scroll down for the spoilers. Up here, we're going to try and keep it spoiler-free. Mostly because I haven't seen it yet. Though I did watch some spoiler reviews of it from some trusted media sources. And I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the concept. I mean, there is an argument to be made that stories of unreliable narrators have been done a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that is one of the aspects we're dealing with here with our good friends in Gotham. That things are never quite what they seem. But then at the same time, when you have a film with an unreliable narrator, they also could be what they seem. And that's, that I think is where the anger and frustration comes in.
Mm-hmm.
What this film encapsulates, I feel, is from what I understand, this is Joker's perspective on things. Meaning that, yes, he is justified in his actions from his perspective, but then again, you're only getting his perspective. He's seeing the world that he wants, and that does not necessarily mean it is the world that is.
Yes, yes. I've seen it already. I'm trying not to spoil anything here, but yes, you definitely. You do see see everything through the Joker's eyes, through his perspective.
Yeah, and and I do wonder, because one of the things I've heard about this, which is this idea that they make the Joker a nice guy, where part of you feels, it's sort of like Thanos, sort of like Thanos in that first Infinity War, where he's got this cause, this noble, this noble oblige that he needs to do this thing. But as the story progresses, you see that, that isn't really his motivation. That this idea of saving the universe, well, certainly, yes, he wants to take this action which may result in saving the universe. In truth, he just he wants to commit this act of heinous evil. And he has found a noble cause to commit this act of heinous evil. And when we look at the controversy about this film that's been out there, I wonder if that might be a part of it as well. Not so much because, when you say, other films are violent, why is this one being singled out? And I think the reason why is because, it's Thanos,
Yeah,
it's not.
And even like before Thanos hit the movies, this is a more well-known quantity than Thanos. I mean, we've seen the Joker in how many iterations? Live action, animation, comic books. I mean, the Joker is more well-known than Thanos.
Yeah, and he is iconic, although, like all of the Joker Harley memes that get torn apart, that it's not a good relationship,
Yeah.
And this is the thing, is people know that Joker. And when you want to tell a story that is trying to tell the Joker's perspective, we know who he becomes.
Yeah.
And there's a film called Max, which is about a young art student named Adolf Hitler, and this art dealer who's trying to work with him and trying to help him be a better person. It doesn't go well, as you might have heard. Spoilers for World War II. Adolf makes choices that, in the end, no matter how sympathetic you might feel for him, no matter how put down you might recognize that all of his pain comes from a place, he's still Hitler. And we know who the Joker is. We know that not all of his victims are deserving. In fact, we know that most of his victims are really just random innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like the collateral damage done that will be done by the Joker far outweighs any sympathy you might want to give him in this short term. If we give Joker sympathy in the short term, what does that say about where he goes from here?
Yeah.
Because, there's a great episode of Sex and the City where I can't remember if it's the blonde or the brunette, but this guy gets into a fight for her, and she's just so impressed by the chivalry that this guy tells this guy to back off. When he doesn't, the guy tries to throw a punch at him, and this guy knocks out the other guy, and she's so impressed, and she's with him. But then, as the story progresses, she realizes this guy keeps getting into fights. This guy's actually kind of picking these fights just so he can punch a guy out, because it makes him feel big and strong.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the problem with any supervillain. No matter how you want to break it down, no matter how noble you want to make them, they're making a choice to be a supervillain. I'm a big fan of Lex Luthor. I think there's lots of stories you can tell about Lex Luthor that make him sympathetic. But the minute you recognize, but this is Lex Luthor, you've got to deal with the fact that who is he going to become? What is his overarching story?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is like, I can see how some people will be in this film and they'll feel this anger, because they've been feeling this anger. They've been, trust me, I have so many good friends who post things about eating the rich. I am not in favor of eating the rich. I do not think the rich would taste very good. I see no reason to torment myself with that. But I can see how people embrace this, embrace this idea. And I can see how you can sort of embrace a character as an icon of this exploration of this populist ideal. But it's like the Guy Fawkes mask, You can embrace this idea of Guy Fawkes, but you actually look at who Guy Fawkes is, and he's the guy who was trying to blow up Parliament so that he could reinstate the papacy in England. He's not a hero of freedom or of anything. He is, at the end of the day, just a different kind of sociopath seeking to impose his. And when you have a guy like the Joker, who, as I always say, is lawfully evil, because he has a very strict set of rules he follows. It's not a paradise living under the Joker. And you can make the argument that Gotham isn't a paradise at all, but,
Oh no, that's a running theme throughout this whole movie. Starting at the very beginning, it's like, oh, the city's getting worse. The city's getting worse, and the Joker just, I guess, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but he basically he speeds things up.
Yeah, well, or fancies himself too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm trying not to spoil too much for you, but or anybody.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we don't want to spoil our audience either. I mean, that's the thing. Is we want to be. I mean, I think people understand if you're going to see the Joker, you know that there is a social dynamic to this. You know that there's a social movement around the Joker, and the inspiration to it, which has its own. There's a lot of real life parallels with the way that the actions he takes that sort of propel him into a heroic light for some people.
And it's like, believe in his cause or not, should we be glorifying the Joker's actions? Because I think everyone can agree he has mental issues.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is the crux of it. But it's like Taxi Driver, and they intentionally said, we're very inspired by Taxi Driver. And one of the central themes of Taxi Driver is that I'm blanking on the name of the guy in Taxi Driver. Travis
Bickle, is it?
Travis Bickle, that's it. Couldn't remember if it was Bickle or Biddle, but yeah, Travis Bickle, played masterfully by Robert De Niro,
who's also in this movie.
Who's also in this movie. There's an argument that says that the entire second half of that film never actually happens.
Yes.
That basically he goes into his own mind and he imagines himself, in his case, like this superhero, protecting this underage prostitute. And then she falls in love with him and all this kind of stuff. And the idea is that there's a good possibility. Well, there's two basic possibilities. One is that the second half of this film doesn't actually happen. That what you see and what you observe is in the Joker's mind of what happens. Or the flip side to that, this is just another origin the Joker tells himself. As he says, there are, I've told this story so many times. I like different ones. I like my paths to be multiple choice. So this is choice A, and brilliantly produced, written, directed, and portrayed choice A from everything I've heard. I am fully expecting to enjoy this film.
I think you will. My expectations were low. Like I said, I like this movie a lot better than I thought I was going to. And I think they said it's like its own separate thing, but I wouldn't mind Joaquin Phoenix's Joker versus like Rob Pattinson's Batman. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly. Well, I wonder how that's going to play out.
I wonder if this is really popular, makes a lot of money, if they're going to be like, oh, hey, we said this was its own separate thing, but would you come into our larger universe?
Yeah, well, I don't see any reason why not. I think that, and for what it's worth, you can certainly argue that they've set up a certain age dynamic in this that, will work nicely with a baby-faced Batman. So,
we get Kid Bruce Wayne in this. I mean, not for long, but we do.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid that spoiler, but okay, yes, we do get a baby Wayne.
Only like 2 scenes. I mean, it's only a few minutes, so he's not really intrinsic to the plot or anything. It's Yeah,
but I guess, and this is where I get to this idea about the multiple choice ending. Isn't it a possibility that because the Joker is obsessing with the Waynes in this, and the richest family in Gotham, and is interacting with this child, even if only a couple times, that this is how he sees what happens, how he saw what occurred, that in his mind he had these interactions, even though we know, much like Travis Bickle, there's going to be points where we don't know if the interaction that he shows us it happened actually happened. I can't
wait for you.
Crux of the narrator,
I know. I can't wait to talk to you about all this on Sunday. But I think you're gonna love De Niro too.
Oh, I know I'm gonna love it. I almost never don't like De Niro.
De Niro is basically Johnny Carson.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, king of comedy. It is very interesting. And like I said, I really enjoyed the spoilers I've gotten, and I'm looking forward to looking for Easter eggs, because one of the Easter eggs I really want to look for, just to do a little segue for this, is Easter eggs for The Man Who Laughs.
Okay.
The Man Who Laughs is this film starring Conrad Veidt from, I want to say 1928. It might be earlier than that. It might be all the way back to 1920. But it was definitely a silent film in the 1920s. Although, actually, I think it must have been 1928, because they said that this was right at the transition of talking films. And there was a real debate as to whether or not they should make it a talkie. And the main reason they didn't is because the prosthetic that Conrad Veidt wears in it, he couldn't really talk very well in it. So
yeah, 1928, November 4th, 1928.
And first off, let me just preface this by saying this is a really great film. I really think everyone, and this is my opinion, I think everyone should go see this before you go see that film. It's on YouTube, with Spanish subtitles and the big old cards that come up in English. Everyone should should watch that film before you watch the Joker. Because even though I don't know what's going to happen in the Joker, really, I get the feeling that there is going to be this information in the Joker that is going to call back to this, because everybody knows that this is the origin of the look of the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
And what's fascinating about this is that it is such an aspect where there's a visual cue that an artist represented that is completely separate from what actually happens in the story. Most interestingly, this is The Man Who Laughs is not a horror film. It's got a grotesque beginning, and there's some tragedy in the end. But for the most part, it's actually a romantic. It's a romance. It's actually kind of the story of It's actually kind of the story of Ben Grimm. It's about a disfigured man who is in love with this blind girl, but he just feels he can't burden her with being with a man who's so horribly disfigured. Likewise, like the Thing, the disfigurement actually brings him some modicum of wealth and fame, because he is touring as a clown with Ursus the philosopher and their little dog Homo the wolf, by the way, which I thought was, because he looks like a dog, but he's actually billed as Homo the wolf, which is funny because Homo means man. Yeah. Of course, wolf is a wolf, so it's a wolf man. So, but he's actually just this big old lovable doggo, and throughout the whole film, he's just this real big lovable doggo until, spoilers, the very end, where the actual villain of the piece, who interestingly enough does also look like the Joker. It's like Barfedro, I believe his name is. And he was the jester for King James II of England. And Quill, the Man Who Laughs father, is sort of a rebel and gets exiled, but comes back because he's worried about his son, and he finds out that they gave his son to the Campaccios, who were this evil group of people who would basically buy children, disfigure them, and then sell them into freak shows. Not nice work, even if you can get it. But
did you see who else is in this movie? Zazie Beetz.
Yes, and I know what her plot line is.
Okay,
Okay. And again, and that like I said, I don't want to. I'm trying to avoid spoilers with it. Yeah. Because because that again ties into the Taxi Driver.
I was going to say, do you remember where we saw her before?
Zazie Beetz? No, where was she?
She was Domino in Deadpool 2.
Oh, that's that girl. Yeah. Oh, cool. Oh, awesome. Good for her. Good for her doing another superhero franchise.
I mean, yeah, she does a good job for what they give her. Yeah, she does a good job in this movie.
Actually, it was really fascinating to find out that the actual director of the Joker is actually his other big work was The Hangover.
Yeah, Todd Phillips. Yeah.
Yeah, Todd Phillips. So it's interesting that he is a guy with a comedy aesthetic, although that's also a very dark comedy aesthetic. You know?
I just wonder because I see the headlines where he's like, "Oh, woke culture is killing comedy and stuff."
Yeah, well, that's
so go into the movie with that in mind, and let me know on Sunday if you think that like some of this is like him talking through the movie.
Yeah, you know what? The fact of the matter is, if you're not a good enough if you're not a good enough comedian to tell a racist joke, then you're just not then you're not a comedian who should be telling racist jokes.
And because I think I saw the credits as I was walking out. I think not only did he direct this, I think he co-wrote it too. So
yeah. Well, this is this guy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. He could definitely have talked through this movie if he want.
Yeah, but it's this whole idea of woke culture destroying comedy. It's ridiculous because what these people always point out is that look, in the 70s and the 80s, you had Eddie Murphy and you had Mel Brooks and you had all these people. And to which I always say, if you think you can tell a joke as good as Mel Brooks, as good as Eddie Murphy, you go right ahead. But you can't because you're not that good.
And two, every form of entertainment, be it comedy, be it movies, be it TV, be it comic books. I mean, you see everything evolves, especially when you go decades and decades. Stuff evolves.
Well, of course it does. Everything's going to evolve because there's always more to tell for the story. And
you think
for what it's worth, at a certain point, people don't want to hear what you thought was funny 30 years ago.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You think stuff that was, comics were telling in the 1940s is going to go over with the public today?
No, and it's not even. And here's the thing: it's not even that the joke wasn't necessarily funny in the 1940s. It's just that if it's a joke from the 1940s, if it's a joke from the 70s, we've heard that joke 6 times already.
Or if it's topical, it has no meaning now.
Well, yeah, but you can. There's no such thing as topical humor. Arguably,
I know you could take the name. Instead of Nixon, you say Trump. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. And it's its own self-circling aspect of it. But it is interesting. But anyway, speaking of comedy, getting back to The Man Who Laughs, I think that there's this dichotomy with the idea of there's the monster who is actually kind and good, and then the actual monster with false smiles and evil eyes, who is much more the spiritual inspiration for the Joker rather than merely the physical inspiration for the Joker. And I wonder if we're going to see something in this film where we're made to feel like the Joker, like Arthur, I forget his last name.
Fleck.
Arthur Fleck is actually, which just sounds like a made-up name, by the way. Oh, yeah. Well, it's like Arthur Dent, Arthur Dent. And he called him Arthur Dent because a dent is something that happens to you. And a fleck is something you ignore. So, yeah, it's a little derivative, but that's okay. But I think we're meant to feel the sympathy for this guy, much in the way that you felt sympathy for Will Payne in this. Although, interestingly enough, and again, this is sort of the larger story that gets told in this is in The Man Who Laughs, is that it is this indictment of wealth culture and the 1%, and arguably just, the argument that, you do realize the guillotines are coming. Because this is a Victor Hugo novel, and he this is sort of like a prequel to a lot of his other stuff where it's like, just so you know, this is where this leads. But in the end, Will Payne gets away. Him, Dia, his girlfriend, Ursus, their sort of father figure, and little Homo the wolf all get saved, and they sail away from England, where they've been told they have to leave because the Queen is not amused. But yeah, I do think that The Man Who Laughs is a really great film everyone should see, and even Tristan liked it. So there you go, endorsement from no less than Tristan himself.
Nice.
One other thing I did want to talk about was the Birds of Prey trailer.
Okay.
There's not a lot I want to talk about. It does seem interesting. Her getting her little hyena, which is nice. The one thing I thought was kind of weird, and maybe this is me just reading way too much into it, is Black Canary's outfit has a lot of yellow in it, and most notably, I felt like the belt kind of forms a yellow lantern. I don't know what to make of that, but I just said, wow, that's some on-the-nose art you're putting in there.
It's just the costume, and I think the one scene I saw, Canary's carrying a baseball bat, and I was like, she's like a martial artist. Like, she doesn't need
Yeah, she's got her canary scream.
Yeah. I don't. Again, it just seems weird that they're mixing Harley, because now they're going to do it in the comics too. But it's weird that they're mixing Harley Quinn with the Birds of Prey. I'd rather see a separate Birds of Prey thing, or even a solo Harley Quinn movie rather than mixing the two together. Yeah. I think.
Well, I think they wanted to give her. This is one of the things Grace Randolph said about it, is that Harley Quinn really. She is at her best when she's reacting to someone and someone else is reacting to her. That you can't really just have Harley Quinn by herself.
Yeah, I'd rather I don't know why you would give her the Birds of Prey though. I'd rather see a Harley Quinn with Poison Ivy and maybe a Catwoman.
Well, yeah. I think everyone would have liked to have seen Harley Quinn with Poison Ivy, and I don't know why. I don't think Poison Ivy is so big so big a character that you couldn't have paired her with Harley Quinn.
No, I mean road trip. Those two on a road trip.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I don't know, but that's our Harleen Quinzel.
Oh, but speaking of Harleen Quinzel, they DC Universe announced when they're dropping. They still haven't announced if they're going to do it, week to week like they've been doing with everything else, or drop it all at once. But the Harley Quinn animated series is coming Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, well, that should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Well, not really, because I don't have DC.
Did you watch the trailer for that a while ago?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Not for the young kids, people. I mean, there was all kinds of language in there, and
yeah, well, that's showbiz, friends.
Is it just me, or does a lot of DC I don't know, live action, and even again this animated series, it seems like they're going much more adult, and again they're adding more stuff to their Black Label.
Yeah, well, because I think they're trying to turn into the villain curve. I think they really feel, and people have said this, that DC's villains are better than their heroes, and I don't know if that's true, because I think the villains only work because of the heroes. I mean, I think maybe Joker's going to be a pretty big film. Although it may not be. Honestly, one of the biggest problems it could face is it could be too dang artsy for the crowd, And if it does wind up being too artsy, that could be problematic for it, If there's too much that you've got to sort of, if people can't get a handle on it, and don't mean that to say, oh, people are too dumb to like the film. I'm saying, no, you made a film that people have a hard time processing because you don't have a consistent narrative and you don't tell your story in a proper way. And there's entirely the possibility that this is the kind of film that the more you think about it, the worse it'll appear. I can see walking out of the film and things being blown away, and then later go, but wait a minute, what about this? And really, was that a good way to have that character behave?
There are some twists and turns, but what I'll say, at least from my vantage point, love it or hate it, you'll get it. You'll be like, okay, I get what they were doing. Okay.
Well, that's a good selling point. And like I said, I'm not expecting to hate it. I'm expecting to really like it. I'm hoping it'll live up the expectations. I have every reason to think it should.
Spoiler.
But we won't know till Sunday.
Spoiler alert. I think on Capes and Lunatics, you and I are probably going to be middle of the road. I think Maz said he already loves it, and I'm just waiting to see what Lilith comes in.
Lilith has not been getting excited by things lately. But you know what I'm excited about, Philip? Comic books.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to start off with the book that makes me maddest, and I know what book made you maddest this week, and we'll get to that in a minute. Immortal Hulk.
Oh, number 24.
Yes, or as I like to call it, the blasphemy. The blasphemism. and they do, it opens nicely with this great parallel about the age of heroes, with, the Fantastic Four, and then, the creation of the Hulk, and, the wrapping up the Fortran story, and Hulk basically taking over Shadow Base. And then, eons from now, at the end of all things, we get a little replay of the Galen Galactus thing, except now it's the essence of the universe that approached Galen, which we see at the beginning of the book. Believes it's coming to Banner, but actually it's Mr. Immortal. And we see that Banner is all emaciated and green and a monster kind of character. And he makes the statement, yeah, I even killed Franklin Richards, the supposed, the chosen one. I murdered him centuries ago, which I don't know, man. We're already reading the book that shows that, no, that's not what happened, Hulk.
And it kills Galactus, too.
Yeah. That's like, it seems like it seems like, it seems like Hulk Revelations. What people don't know about Revelation is that, yes, it is about the rise of the Antichrist and, the evil of the devil and whatnot, but it's also about how the devil gets smacked down hard, like in like one paragraph at the end. It's like, no, you weren't going to rise up and take over the world, devil. You're the devil.
And again, how interesting is a character who can defeat anybody?
Exactly. Well, unless you're Franklin Richards,
I know. But even he, sometimes he loses his powers, or Reed locks him out, or something. Something.
Yeah, and what it is that when Franklin is at the end of time, and he's actually afraid of this stuff. He doesn't know what's going to come next, and he is worried about it. And he's in that space outside of time, watching as the actual heat death of the universe occurs. And clearly not for nothing. This clearly takes place like about 8 million years before actual heat death. So, like, yeah, okay, Hulk, you're cute. You think you're cute. You think you beat us,
But,
and
that last scene in the present when he's sitting in that chair, is that supposed to be like, oh, I can see the maestro coming.
Oh yeah, he's got his little iron throne, and yeah. I mean, well, that's what they were thinking. He's the Maestro Hulk, which is like, they're all just Bruce Banner. Oh, along those same lines, I'm sure you didn't get the chance to read it because I only put in the code today. Future Foundation was very good. We get the story of Ricky Barnes, where we find out, again, speaking of Franklin Richards, that basically Ricky Barnes is the one hero that Franklin created in the Heroes Reborn universe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But all the other, that she didn't have a parallel on Earth, and that she keeps on dying, but then after she dies, she comes back in another universe, and she comes back in another universe. And you kind of get this idea that basically Franklin puts her in all of his universes.
Mm-hmm.
That she basically lives she's lived like all these thousands of lifetimes, and then when all of the universes start collapsing, she sees the whatever that mourner being as she's tearing apart the universes, and it gets great how they really explore her. And then here's the big reveal at the very end of it. Guess who's back? Who's back again? Elijah, the Laser Fist.
Oh.
He's back amongst the Future Foundation. So yeah, I really like this book. Probably one of my favorite books this week. Future Foundation number 3. I heard that it is ending, which is real disappointing because it is such a great book, especially with the maker. So that's awesome. Anything you want to talk about, Philip?
Oh, did you want to talk about the one that made me mad? Marvel Comics 1001, which you were looking forward to for the last month.
I enjoyed it. I love, first off, the fact that it has the parallel, actually the exact same story but told in reverse order. the first page and the last page, it's the exact same dialogue, almost, but in the reverse order. And then, of course, you see the final line, Korvac is online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was cool.
I mean, most of this issue was good. It was just basically like one page that angered me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot of one shots and a lot of comedy in this. I actually felt.
Oh yeah,
like a real lot of comedy, like much more, I think, than most of these books ever do. In fact, I kind of got the feeling this is almost like a what the,
And it's like you can't really go too in depth too, because each story is only a page long. So
yes, now this is the one that made Phil mad because they told him he should recycle his comic
Captain
books.
America Comics for Victory. Yes, it's basically Captain America and Bucky driving around in World War II. Hey, we're doing a paper drive, and it's like, oh hey, throw some newspapers in here. Anything. Cap even says to a kid, "Hey, I heard you're saving all those comic books, but once you've read them, they have no value, not to you anyway."
Exactly. Worthless comic books from the 1940s.
There's that Marvel telling us, "Hey, don't examine our comics too closely. Read it just read it once real quick, and then toss it in the trash."
Well, it actually kind of. I don't think this actually was an actual ad from the 40s.
I know. Yeah.
It's meant to be. It's actually. I think they wrote this expressly to make Phil mad.
Exactly. They pander to Charlie and make me angry.
Well, I'm easy to pander to. Yeah, I get what you say. I spent $4.99 for this book. I'm not going to just recycle it.
Yeah, read it once and throw it away. I mean, it'd be one thing if they were like, "Oh yeah, read it," and then like give it to a friend. Okay, I could buy that. But they're just like, "Oh yeah, books are $4 or $5 these days. Yeah, just read it once, real quick, toss it in the trash or recycle it."
Yeah. What they want you to do is they want you to get rid of it so that you have to buy the trade.
Yeah, they want you to buy it twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I wonder if they're. I wonder if they when they do a trade, if they're going to package Marvel Comics 1000 and 1001 together.
Well, of course they will. It'll be called Marvel 2001 or something like that. 1001 Marvel Tales. Something they'll do. But yeah, I mean it's cute. It's delightful. Yes, it was clearly meant to be. It was clearly you can tell that they're trying to troll you because they make the point, comics are worthless. Why would you save them? No. Just recycle it. Because you're supposed to understand the irony of all the statements. But at the same time, that's also why comics became valuable. Because kids were although they were just not taking care of them, they also, would say, well, I've already read that book. Why do I need it?
I knew back then in the 40s, they're like, these things aren't going to be worth anything ever.
Yeah. Although you see the kids say, I'm going to have the largest comic book collection in the world. Yeah. And he's like all crying because he has to put all his comic books to fight Hitler. No. Stupid Hitler. Stupid Hitler. Nobody likes you, Hitler. Yeah. So. Yeah, but aside from that, yeah, it was a very funny book. A lot of humor. I kind of got the feeling that like Marvel 1000, everyone was trying to be like kind of really, this has got to have meaning and and they said, let's do one more, and this is great, and they all just sort of just had fun with it. And I think sometimes that's some of the best stories is when you just have fun with it.
Oh yeah.
So I liked that. And half of Marvel's history was good, as Deadpool said. Half.
Oh, so did you say you were reading Daredevil?
Yeah. I read Daredevil and I read what was the other one? The other one you recommended, Contagion.
Contagion, yeah, because it was a big Ben Grimm story, yeah.
Yeah, not excessively impressed by Contagion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically what I expected. It's like, it's Marvel Zombies, but with the mushroom people.
I'm just like, would Reed Richards really be that stupid?
No, I mean honestly. It's a reach, and we see that obviously when you get infected, then your powers are in other people now too, because you see the mushroom guy using the stretching powers and the flames on, and then the force shield. He even seems to like throw the thing with superhuman strength. Although we don't see any infection on the thing, so.
I think they were just looking for something to do because it's October, Halloween's coming, DC's doing their Deceased miniseries.
Yeah, Yeah. But is this even? I mean, how long is this going to last? Is this like 4 issues?
I think it's like 4 or 5 issues. Yeah, it's not like like I said. I think it's just
Are they doing it weekly or?
Yeah, I think it's weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just for this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I mean, yeah, I mean, Ben Grimm. It's always attractive to see Ben Grimm, but just because you put Ben Grimm on a book doesn't mean I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, no, because I think each issue focuses. Like, 'cause I think next issue's Iron Fist. I think Moon Knight shows up at a certain point. Maybe Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. Yeah.
And I'm sure they find the cure by the end of it. So there's that. Yeah. Fantastic Four number 15, Point of Origin came out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to see the what do they call it? The Unparalleleds, the 8 superhumans on this other world, and the prophecy of the coming of the 4, and yada yada yada.
What's the connection to their origin going to be? Is that where the cosmic rays came from, or?
I don't know. They already established the idea that the cosmic rays were a message that was supposed to happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with this. Honestly, it's a bit of a hard rewrite of Fantastic Four myth. In fact, the rocket ship actually did have a name before they decided to call it the Marvel One. I forget what they called it, but it actually had a name for like 20 years.
Franklin.
He never puts the planet back where he finds it. And then Old Man Quill. Old Man Quill was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're lost in time now. And it's just like, oh, how will he ever get back? It's like, well, he is standing right next to a time sled. So.
Oh, you know what I was thinking?
Uh-huh.
Because now the time travel's in the mix. What if that's Quill in Doom's armor?
Ooh. Well, that would be interesting.
What if it's
that? Would be interesting.
What if he can't get back and he uses the armor to preserve himself or something?
That would be an interesting turn of events, to be sure.
Hey, so did you? What about Daredevil? Skip that.
Oh, Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil was okay.
Wearing white. Wearing white.
Yeah, he's wearing white. I just got to get him in blue, and then. My theory will come about. But he's not taking any pills now, so I don't know if they're going to be doing anything with that. Like I said, I don't think they ever really... Maybe that was just sort of a misdirect. I don't know.
I just wonder if...
Unreliable.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're just using this storyline to clean up the character. It's like, oh, he's not going to be so violent. He's not going to be so grim and gritty. At least for a while. They always do that. They've done it before. They've done it in the 90s. That
I know. They do that with Batman every 6 weeks, too,
I know, yeah.
Yeah, they do it with Batman, and all of a sudden they go, "Oh no, maybe actually Batman can be kind of fun and hip again."
Yeah, next writer comes in. Yeah,
next writer. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. It's him punching a bunch of crooked cops, and then Foggy gets into hot water, and they can't quite get out. But then Elektra comes and saves the day, and she has got huge hair in this, by the way.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. I have not seen her with that kind of hair in a long time. Because even like in Savage Avengers, she's got the very straight hair.
Yeah, that's like the '90s hair.
It's an interesting, which maybe she's not even there, Philip.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it's just more a hallucination, and she is wearing red. His
idealized version of her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's her from the '90s. It's how he remembers her. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go on there. Speaking of unreliable narrators, just to bring it all back into that circle.
Yeah. What did you think of the Kingpin stuff?
Kingpin was good. I don't know how he's going to clean up this mess, but I know he will because he's the Kingpin. And, it's like, yeah, he just slipped in that bathtub. Isn't that tragic?
He slipped in that bathtub and broke his neck in 3 places.
He slipped in that bathtub 5 times.
Smashed his head off the wall 20 times accidentally.
Yeah, he's a klutz. What can you say? Yeah, and like all the rich guys sort of poking the bear. I don't know. It's like, are you sure this is how you want to play this game, guys? But yeah, that's the story. That's the story that we got. So yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It was good. It just, like I said, I thought the Kingpin story was better than the Daredevil story, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you probably didn't read Ghost Rider #1.
No, I did not.
Oh, there's we get Johnny Blaze, the King of Hell. Demons are trying to escape hell, so Blaze has to come to Earth to like try to track him down. And he's talking to Danny Ketch, and he's like, "Oh, you got to help me." And Danny's like, "I don't want to help." Danny's running a bar now, but now I guess he seems like he's drinking more. I don't guess Danny Ketch is developing a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the demons is telling Danny Ketch, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're Johnny Blaze has gone mad with power. He's insane." So, but
wackiness it will ensue.
But then you see Mephisto in Las Vegas, still in prison supposedly, and he's just like, seems all happy, and he's talking to Wong, who's like guarding him. He's like, "Can't you feel it? There's change in the air, man. It's electrifying."
For a guy who's trapped in hell, for a guy who's trapped in Las Vegas, he is getting around though.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
He's in Superior Spider-Man. He's in the Champion.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if maybe they just think he's in prison, but he's found the loophole where he can come and go as he pleases. Maybe.
Yeah, or something or other. I don't know. Or maybe it's a different Mephisto.
Alternate. Yeah.
Remember, he made the point to Superior Spider-Man. It's like, well, that Mephisto's from his own universe.
Yeah.
Or no, that guy's from my duplicate in the other universe might not like me messing with him, which is actually an interesting point to make because he doesn't say that he's actually the Mephisto of this universe.
Yes.
And if one Mephisto is trapped, maybe another Mephisto wanders on over. Yeah. All these Mephistos, they're awful friendly with one another. So there we go. Fan theory. Okay. Savage Avengers was neat. Very Conan-y. By Crom. Yeah, Punisher.
This is no weapon for a warrior.
Yeah, well, because it runs out of bullets, That's what's good about a sword, is a sword never runs out of bullets,
I just wonder if Conan's like, this takes no warrior skill to use. All you have to do is point.
Well, no, I mean, sure. Like I said, he's seen repeating crossbows before, but this is pretty impressive. He didn't deny that it was impressive. But, that after you shoot all the bullets, then you still have to hit the thing with it, and then you break it. And, if it was a family weapon, he felt bad about that. He's like, "Oh, sorry I broke your gun, dude." What are you going to do? Okay. Anything else you want to talk about this week, Philip?
Well, two quick things. I know you gave up on this. House of X number 6. The mutant council basically gathers and makes the first laws for mutant kind. Okay. Basically make more mutants, murder no man. And they're like, we can't murder humans or mutants, and respect this sacred land, which was Krakoa. Yeah. But they're like, then what are we going to do with Sabretooth? He's like a mass murderer, but we're not supposed to kill. So basically Xavier sentences him to the core of Krakoa. So basically, they're like, "You'll be aware. We won't kill you. You'll be aware, but you're not gonna be able to move or anything." So
that sounds worse than
exactly. But they're like, "Oh, but we said we're not gonna kill."
Like a really cruel punishment, I mean, like something, give them like a rat maze or something to run around in,
I know.
At least Reed and Tony and Doctor Strange had the common decency to try and send Hulk to another planet. That was like, well, you can be free. It'll just be on another planet where there's no buildings,
So they're basically putting him in solitary, and I think they even said, you're not going to die. You're never going to die. So
you wish you did, but
like maybe one day we might need you a long time from now. But nah, it doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah, that's just an interesting take.
I know.
So. Okay, well, of course, Professor X is evil, and the mutants are evil. So what was the other book? You said you had 2 books?
Yeah, I mean, I won't go too much into it, but I just wanted to, it seems like we're always bashing Bendis. I want to recommend the Bendis book this week. Legion of Superheroes, Millennium number 2. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great.
And it leads into the new Legion of Superheroes book, yes.
Bendis.
Yes, so it's not all Bendis bashing. I did enjoy this book.
Well, there you go. See?
I think when they put, like I said, I don't think you put him on the right project. He works magic, but
you're just not a fan of his Superman take. We get it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No one can make a Superman for all people. That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Philip, let's get out of here because I got a lot of work to do still.
Oh yeah.
Gotta clean all night. And then
and then go see Joker in the morning.
No, I'm not seeing Joker till Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, trust me, I'm not even going to try to see Joker.
Fresh in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Philip, in the meantime, how can people write to you? Talk to you.
You can always email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp. And the easiest way to check out all Superconnectivities and basically all the Capes and Lunatics links is go to Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. All of our links will be there from now on. So one-stop shopping.
Well, there you go. And could they call us if they wanted to still?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-Capes.
And, of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way there are Maz and possible instead, you can do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, and any other show I darn well please at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have enjoyed, I hope, a wide-ranging discussion about DC properties and Marvel properties. I hope you connected with us happily, and please happily super connect with us again next week. Good night.
Good night.
And there we go. There you go, that's all I got to say. I'm looking forward to the Joker, though. It'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. Joker.
Everyone loves the Joker. I'm a Joker.
Capes and Lunatics 125, the big review. Lil's going to be fighting some nerds.
Indubitably.